Interesting testimony from Mr. Scott, who's a former SABC employee. Just tell us more about it.
Well, of course, Nombu, you'll recall that earlier on, Mr. Sundaram, Rajesh Sundaram, who was the former editor of ANN7, had made claims to the fact that some of the broadcasters' valuable archive material was sold to ANN7 in 2013, saying that it was sold at peanuts and saying that it was sold at a price that was really not a great price at the time, saying that it was actually supposed to be sold at a much more bigger price than what initially was agreed on with the Gupta family, saying that in fact this was one of the deals which the Gupta brothers had viewed as being a sweet deal, saying that in fact this deal, he views it as if it was just a favor that the SABC had done for the Gupta family, considering their close relationship with the President Jacob Zuma. Of course, he says that the Gupta family at the time had bought material worth 2,000 minutes, and that material, he says, there was a discount that was offered to the Gupta family because of the enormity of that project. He says that this was one of the biggest projects that the SABC had done in so far as selling its archive material to outside broadcasters. And he says that that's the reason why they're then given a discount of about 30 Rand per minute for that archive material that they had sold. So he's basically saying that there is nothing dodgy about this deal, and that the claims that were made by Sundaram that in fact this was just one of the favors that was done for the Guptas is not true. He says that they paid for every minute of that footage, and he says that the claims that one of the Gupta employees had come to the SABC to copy this footage himself is not true, because as the SABC, they do not allow clients to copy archive material for themselves. In fact, he says that it is the SABC employees themselves who are tasked with getting exactly what it is that those that are buying the footage want, and then soliciting that particular footage for their clients. So he's saying that most of what Sundaram has said is simply not true. He's saying that the SABC deal with the ANN7 was above board and that there was nothing sinister about it.
Yeah, but Maqoba, there was a time where Mr. Scott had to concede with the judge. He talked about the clients taking X number of tapes. And he could not be sure how much of those tapes were actually recorded or transferred to their systems. So was he basically conceding that he can't really be sure how many minutes of footage were recorded by them?
Well, certainly, Nombu, you can say that in a way he conceded to some of the suggestions or some of the things that the judge had raised. For example, how sure was he that what the ANN7 channel took was exactly what they say they'd taken, or was what was paid for or agreed to? So he says that there's a system to monitor that with regards to a time code that is embedded on those tapes. And he says that it would have been easy to take those tapes and then view that particular time code, the embedded time code, to see just how long the footage was. But of course, he says it was very difficult at the time to go back and say, can you please view those tapes and see how much you have taken? He says he simply trusted the Guptas and really trusted them as their client, that they were honest in their interactions with them. So at this stage, he also says that, the SABC believes that the Guptas had taken 1,982 minutes only of that footage and not 6,000 minutes as claimed previously by Sundaram in his testimony.
So what can we expect next up?
Well, Nompi, we do expect that the Transnet or testimony around the Transnet issue will continue tomorrow. We expect Jonathan Bloom, who was testifying previously, to come back on the stage just to give more details about how prices were inflated when several of the deals were made in that parastatal.
Okay, Maqoba, thanks very much for your time. As always, my colleague Maqoba Mchunu reporting on the state capture inquiry there. That's all from the On Point team. We'll be back with more for you tomorrow. SA Today at the top of the hour. Do take care.